All right, welcome everyone. Thank you for coming to this information session about the graduate programs in the Department of Kinesiology and Health Education. My name is John Bartholomew and I'm the department chair, and it is my pleasure to give you a little overview of the department and some of the things that we have to offer. We are a broad-based Department of Kinesiology and Health with 4 distinct areas. So we have an area in sport and physical culture in sport that deals with sport management, the business side of sport, as well as physical culture and sort of the humanities and how sport and fitness and exercise have shaped and been influenced by culture. We have a strong program in health behavior and health education that really focuses on social determinants of health and community-based health projects. And then 2 programs that are more in the biological sciences. So we have a program in exercise physiology that is really focused on both metabolic physiology as well as cardiovascular physiology and the factors associated with that, doing mechanistic research in that area, and then movement and cognitive rehabilitative sciences that is really, if you think about that overlap between physical therapy and engineering, how do we understand core mechanisms that control human movement, and how do we study those in clinical populations in a way that helps to better society and to impact the care that they receive. So you can see we're broad-based. We have a lot of distinct areas that I think can prepare you quite well for work after this, whether that be an intensive research degree that you're interested in moving on to either obtaining a Ph.D. or moving on to a Ph.D., or if you are interested in work in the field after a master's. So again, I thank you for your interest, and we'll turn it over to the rest of the panel.
I am Brian Mills. I am an associate professor here and our graduate advisor, and Philip is our graduate coordinator. Philip knows all of the important information about the logistics and process of the application. And so I'm going to kick it off to him to give a little bit of information about that. So Philip, if you could fill us in on that, that'd be great.
Hi, my name is Philip Salazar. I'm the graduate program coordinator for the Department of Kinesiology and Health Education. My role here is to assist students in all phases of studies here in kinesiology and health education, from admission through graduation and everything in between. To start the application process, you'll begin by creating a profile and later an application on Applied Texas, on the Applied Texas website. You'll enter information about yourself, your previous institutions, and select the University of Texas at Austin as the institution that you're applying to. Later, you'll be asked specific questions about our program, such as which area of study and which degree level that you're applying to. You'll also enter the names and email addresses of your references that you've selected to write letters of recommendation for you. Once you've completed your application and submitted, it'll get delivered to our own admissions office here on campus, the Graduate and International Admissions Center. Their office will contact you within 24 to 48 hours to let you know that they've received your application and give you access to submit your remaining application materials online, such as your statement of purpose, your resume or CV, and your academic transcripts. You can see which of your references have submitted their letters of recommendation and any test scores that you have requested to be delivered to UT Austin. I'll also keep track of your application package, and when all materials are received, I'll forward your file to the admissions committee of the program that you're applying to. Once an admission decision is returned, I'll enter it online and you'll be sent an email notification. If you have any questions about the application process, please feel free to reach out to me or to Dr. Brian Mills, our graduate advisor.
Yeah, welcome everyone. So I am the department's graduate advisor. So any issues or paperwork and things come through my office. I'm also here sort of as a reference for all the grad students if you need somebody to talk to about the processes or anything going on in the graduate program that needs to be addressed. I am a key person there. Welcome to this virtual open house. Hopefully we'll have a number of questions answered for you all. that you may have about the programs. We'll start with some questions to me, as well as to Philip Salazar, and then to some of the other folks in our department that head up each of our areas. Before that, I think each of our program heads or area heads are going to give some information on each of their areas. And so, Dr. Pasch, I will pass it on to you to get us started on that.
Hi, I'm Keryn Pasch, an associate professor and program director for our health behavior and health education area within the department. Our program emphasizes a multidisciplinary developmental approach to health promotion and public health. Our program is really focused on understanding the prevention of disease and illness and the promotion and maintenance of optimal health and health behavior. Our research and study includes populations ranging from younger children to older adults. And graduate students in our program get exposed to research and courses from faculty with diverse interests and expertise, as well as training. We have lots of folks trained in public health, as well as psychology and education. And some of the things we look at in our program are physical activity, substance use, HIV risk reduction, immigration. We have folks who also study systems such as housing and the justice system, as well as how marketing impacts behavior. And so graduates in our program go on to many different types of careers in public health and health promotion, ranging from local health departments, state health departments, national organizations, nonprofits. Ph.D. students go on to faculty positions, postdocs, as well as government and other nonprofit agencies. I will turn it over to Hiro Tanaka from our exercise physiology area.
My name is Hiro Tanaka. I coordinate the graduate program of exercise physiology. As you might know, exercise physiology is the study of how our physiological systems respond and adapt to stimuli of acute and chronic exercise and physical activity, and how these changes are related to health, disease, function, and performance. Our research area has strong emphasis on the cardiometabolic diseases as it's affected by inactivity, aging, and diabetes. So that's the strength of our area. That's what I have. Lisa?
Hi, I'm Lisa Griffin. I'm the program director for Movement and Cognitive Rehabilitation Sciences. We study rehabilitation for neurological disorders. So we look at everywhere from the brain down to the biomechanics of gait. We look at EEG and electrical activity of the brain, and using transcranial magnetic stimulation, we study the integrity of and excitability of the neural pathways from the brain to the muscle. And then we also record EMG, intramuscular EMG, and kinematics of gait and movement. We study these rehabilitation and neuromuscular control strategies and kinematics in different populations, like aging populations, stroke, people with musculoskeletal disorders or injuries, spinal cord injury, and pediatrics as well.
We can turn it back to Dr. Mills to talk a little bit about our other two programs.
Yeah, so Dr. Jan Todd is the head of our program areas in physical culture and sport and in sport management. And these are two distinct areas to focus in as a graduate student. So the master's in particular in sport management largely focuses on the business of sport and a little bit of sport policy as well. Our program has experts in sport and management, leadership. We have classes in marketing, focus in sports economics, policy, and various areas that will contribute to careers in the sport industry. Physical culture and sport studies is our all-encompassing PhD program at this point, which focuses on international relations and politics, sports economics, history, and history of physical culture. We have a really unique program. It's not like anywhere else in the world in any sport management or physical culture type program. And we have a really nice center called the Stark Center with a huge amount of historical collections in physical culture and sport that are really valuable for our graduate students in our area and our program. So we invite you to check out all of the things that we have to offer, and we thank you for being here. And so what we'd like to do now is open things up for some questions for those faculty that are here to help out with whatever information that may be needed for our prospective students. So I'll go ahead and do that now.
Hi, yeah, I'm wondering what's the difference between the Master of Science and the Master of Education?
That's a really good question. I think a lot of students have this question even after they get here. And so the Masters of Science tends to be a degree that's preparing students for future graduate study and includes a thesis, right? So that may be continuing on into a PhD program. It could also be jobs that are research oriented after here as well. The Masters of Education is more practice oriented or career oriented. And so a large majority, for example, of our sport management master students are in the M.Ed program. And so that tends to require an internship within the field during the last semester of the program. It's usually 2 years. And so that's really focused on getting into the industry and moving forward with the career. With the MS, of course, I would suggest thinking about that as early as possible and what sort of track you'd want to do as you enter the program so you can be prepared to go in that direction when you get here.
Yeah, so I'm wondering then, how long would it take me to complete my degree?
So this depends on the degree, right? And so the master's degrees are typically 2-year degrees here at UT. Whereas the PhD program would take 3 to 5 years, depending on past preparedness and the research and the dissertation that you have and what is needed to finish that up while you're here.
I was wondering how my classes would be taught and if there's an average class size to expect.
So classes here are typically in person. Obviously, that's been a little different recently. But UT is now completely on campus, with the exception of one of our sport management programs, which is an online only program. So we have an on-campus and an online program. The classes range from about 5 to 25 students, depending on the class. Particularly electives will be smaller classes. Some of the required sport management classes may be a bit larger, but usually they're going to be around 10 students, 10 to 15 students in a class.
What kind of positions do recent PhD students hold?
So our PhD students, when they finish up here, do a varied number of things. A lot of them go on to postdoctoral fellowships, particularly in the lab sciences. Some go directly to faculty positions. That tends to be the case for physical culture, for example. And a lot have gone on to work for nonprofit organizations or other industry-related jobs after doing their studies in the PhD program here. So there's a pretty wide variety, but the primary tends to be toward postdoctoral fellowships and faculty positions.
I'd like to know how easy it is for students to work in a research lab.
I'm going to take that question as how easy is it to get into a research lab and work in that research lab rather than the difficulty of being in the lab and whatever work that involves. So GRA positions, so those are our graduate research assistants, tend to be more difficult to get for PhD students than with some of our other positions like teaching assistantships. But in that, they're going to work directly in research lab with their specific advisor. And that's for PhD students. For master students, those that are really interested in getting research experience or working in a lab should reach out to faculty, contact those faculty and try to see if they have opportunities or openings and availability for master students to work in those labs. Usually that's going to be on a volunteer basis, maybe with independent studies as well, or working on a thesis if you're an MS student in the program is a way that may involve some lab work as well.
I have a question. How much tuition or how much will tuition cost me? And what type of funding do you offer that will cover the costs?
So the University of Texas is a public institution. It is considered to have affordable tuition rates compared to other research institutions. Tuition rates can be found on the university's website at tuition.utexas.edu. There you can see the tuition rates based on whether you are a Texas resident or a non-Texas resident. And also you'll see estimates for cost of living and other expenses such as housing and supplies. For adjusting your tuition, there are positions available such as TA positions and graduate research assistant positions that may be able to assist you with a stipend, a monthly stipend. And they may also include benefits such as in-state tuition rates, tuition reductions, and healthcare.
What's the difference between those TA positions and graduate research position?
So a TA position is usually working with a faculty member on a specific class in a classroom that they're going to be teaching. And a graduate research assistant position is going to be working with a faculty member in their lab that is the principal investigator for the lab that they're running.
Thank you.
And one thing I'd like to add to that as well is that both GAs and TAs, particularly at the PhD level, are likely going to be working with their advisor on research in some capacity or another. The GRA versus the TA is really a position in the way that you earn your stipend while you're here as a graduate student at UT.
I have a follow-up question regarding tuition. How would I apply for scholarships?
So we have a priority deadline of December 1st. All applicants that have completed applications are considered for funding, all funding opportunities that we have. So the December 1st deadline allows us to start looking at applicants so that we can start making decisions and also start looking at who is eligible for the recruitment funds that we have. Some scholarships are available based on residency, and others are based on merit. So applicants that have them completed sooner will be given first consideration. We'll still have funding opportunities to offer throughout the admission cycle. Our final deadline is May 1st. As we reach May 1st, we'll still be making offers for funding support, but they will start to diminish. So if you would like to be considered for funding, we encourage you to submit your application early so that you'll be given full consideration for these funds.
What's the difference between a priority deadline and a final deadline?
So the difference between the priority deadline and the final deadline is that the priority deadline is so that we can go ahead and start looking at applications early for early admission decisions, and also start selecting applicants for these recruitment funds. The final deadline is May 1st, and that is the deadline that we need to have all applications in so that we can go ahead and start wrapping up our admission decisions.
Is there a way I could make my application stand out?
Great question. What we want to see is why our program is a good fit for the applicant, what the applicant's career goals are, and how our program will help them achieve those goals. For applicants who want to pursue an MS or thesis or PhD, we really want there to be fit with an advisor. So you want to make sure you discuss your research interests in your application and how they might align with a faculty member. Your interests don't need to overlap completely, but really should be related. And you should discuss the research you hope to do and your long-term career goals as well. Do other faculty want to jump in and add there?
Yeah, at least in our area, the UT Austin is a research one institution. So previous research experience weighs a lot in considering your applications. So you may want to expand your research programs and previous research experience in your letter and the CV. I think that would help you out.
And I'll add too for our masters, our MED students, excuse me. This is because it's more of a professionally focused degree, particularly in sport management. Making clear what your reasons are for wanting to pursue a master's degree, for example, in sport management or one of our other areas, is really important from a career perspective. So what is it that the degree is going to provide for you as you move forward? And then why you think UT is the place to be. One thing to know is, for example, our sport management program has a number of really nice connections with local sports teams and other groups. And so if those are really key to the types of things that you want to do, mention that in your application. And of course, we're looking for a wide diversity of backgrounds in terms of whether you have a sport management degree in undergrad, whether it was psychology, economics, political science, or anything out there. Tell us why that applies to why you're applying to the MED program and what the MED program is going to do to build on your previous experience in school.
I would just add one more thing to what Dr. Mills has just said, is that our program, Health Behavior and Health Education as well, you don't have to have an undergraduate degree in health behavior and health education to apply to the master's or the PhD program. We do have some prerequisites, which are available on the website, but you can always take those while you're as a student or prior to coming or during the summer. But really, we do open up our program to a wide variety of undergraduate, or if you're applying for the PhD program, master's degrees. We welcome all those, lots of different types of students into our program.
As I look through the application process, do I need to reach out to a faculty member myself to see if they'll advise me?
So I always suggest looking at the faculty in the department and seeing which faculty have research interests that align with what you're looking to do. So we have a wide variety of faculty that do a lot of very different things, and reaching out to a faculty member prior to the application is going to basically put a flag on that application set by a faculty member who says, look, I've talked to this person, their research interests tend to align with what I'm doing. And this is for the PhD applicants. And so that gets an additional look there, and they can advocate for you as their future PhD students. So I strongly recommend reaching out to a potential faculty advisor there. For master's applicants, it's not necessary, but if you do want to complete a thesis, we do recommend reaching out to potential faculty members as well, because that's going to require a specific advisor to oversee some research project that you have in your thesis. And so making sure there's alignment there is going to make that process much easier for you, and make sure that you get the most out of doing that thesis from that advisor that has that expertise. Anyone else have anything to add?
Yeah, I also recommend putting the advisor's name in your statement of research interests for who you're interested in working with. That way, that faculty member will make sure to look at your application.
Thanks, Lisa.
And just to also add, for MED, you wouldn't necessarily need to reach out to a faculty member ahead of time. But again, just in your statement, talking about how the program is a really good fit for what you want to do for your career goals.
Thank you. I was also wondering what sets this program apart from other related grad programs.
So I think that's one that's probably best answered by each of our areas. So Dr. Pasch, would you like to start us off?
Sure. So our health behavior and health education program, one of the things that I think sets us apart is the small nature of our program. So we typically have class sizes of anywhere from 5 to 15. So we tend to have smaller classes. We admit a small number of students each year to the MS and the MED and PhD programs. And so you get a lot of closer faculty contact. All of our classes are normally in person, which I think also lends itself to getting to know the faculty and getting sort of a cohort kind of experience with your fellow classmates. And also we have faculty, as I said, from lots of different areas doing lots of different types of research. And so you get exposed to a lot of different types of research from, qualitative, quantitative, secondary data, experimental studies, interventions, that sort of thing. So there's a wide range of experience in the faculty members that really, I think, you see come through in the different classes that you get to take. And I'll let whoever wants to go next, Hiro or Lisa or Brian.
Our exercise physiology program is internationally known. So, every time you look at investigators in our field, you have to go to conference and to listen to their talk and lectures. But if you come to UT Austin, you can actually listen to them every week in your classroom. I think that would be the benefit of this program. Lisa?
Yeah, so I think UT Austin does have a good track record of hiring excellent faculty. And with our particular area, I would say it's our, area of specialization. So I would advise any grad student to think first about what they're interested in, and then find the faculty member that's doing what they want to do. And so I would, so for our area, our specialization in neuromuscular control and stroke rehab and biomechanics, we have a lot of equipment that is unique and kind of hard to find compared to other programs. We've got a split belt treadmill with the Vicon system, and it's a big screen that's like a kind of like a virtual reality screen. It's where we can simulate different environments. And then the use of the brain recording and brain stimulation techniques. So I would say it would be our equipment that we have available, as well as the expertise of the faculty that sets us apart.
Yeah, and moving into the sport management and the physical culture and sport programs, this is the University of Texas. We have some really great connections, starting with the M.Ed program for sport management. We have a good relationship with the athletics department here, with Austin FC, the new MLS team in town, as well as a number of other sports organizations for internships and things like that. We have really great faculty that do very unique work relative to other programs in these areas. So a lot of other sport management or physical culture in sport programs might have a lot of marketing and business focus, and we have that, of course, but we also have people that are doing research in history and international politics and economics, and even thinking about youth sport and ethics and recreation. And so from the professional part, thinking about the M.Ed, we have lots of good connections, alumni, folks that are getting into really good sports organizations and working with those, as well as really unique expertise and world-renowned expertise in these areas that we focus on in our program. So we combine both the sport management and a sort of humanities and history approach to sport, which is not done in any other program in the country, really.
So I'm curious about what kind of qualities you're looking for in an applicant.
I can start us off thinking about, from the health behavior and health education program. For the M.Ed program, we really want students who are our program will help them to achieve their career goals. So what's the next thing they want to do, and how does our program sort of set them up for that next step in their career? For the MS, it's very similar. So it's thinking about how does coming to our MS program set them up for the research they want to do, plus the next step, if that's PhD, if that's going into a research career. So really for the master's, looking at what about our program fits really well with what your next interest is. For the PhD program, we're really looking for applicants who are interested in doing research with one of the faculty members in our area. And so I think research fit is such a key component for any PhD. So finding faculty that really align, not necessarily duplicate, but align and sort of help you to grow your research in the way you want it to grow. If others wanted to take that. Hiro, did you want to add, or Lisa or Brian?
Actually, I like Keryn's answer, so I don't have anything to add. So Keryn, Lisa.
So I think that answer is absolutely true for us as well. Telling us how we fit what it is you need and how you fit the things that we do. At the master's level, again, communicating that same thing, but thinking about our online program, we have an additional online sport management program. We're usually looking for folks that already have a year of work experience. That's a general requirement for our program. And so a lot of the students that are entering into that program are telling us about how this degree is going to help them move forward their career that they're already usually working in. And so in that program, things are a bit different, but again, still telling us what is it that UT is going to do or provide or be useful for you to reach the goals that you have with your education.
What type of careers can I get with a master's degree? And are there different ones for Masters of Science versus a Masters of Education?
So I can probably start with an answer to that one. So I think with the M.Ed, again, as we noted, it's more of a professionally focused degree. So getting jobs with Austin FC or other sports organizations, whether they be professional sports organizations, nonprofit organizations, or other types of youth sport organizations and things like that. The MS is more focused on maybe going into a research type position in sport management. For example, going into a Ph.D. program. But if you decide that at the end of that research isn't for you, the MS will also be really valuable in moving into different types of sports organizations, moving your way up in understanding how to analyze problems, deal with data, and communicate those in a useful and logical way. And I think those are really valuable for moving up in a management position as well. But I'll let others talk about their degrees in their areas as well.
The M.Ed, we typically have those folks go on to more applied careers. So we've had folks go into the local health departments, state health departments, different types like CDC kind of job. Also university wellness or corporate wellness. We've had different folks go that way. For-profit, different companies, nonprofits. So very applied kind of community-oriented or community-based jobs as well. For the MS, typically those students are going to go on for a PhD, but as Brian has said, if you don't go on for the PhD, it's still very useful in lots of different ways and can be used in the same ways that an M.Ed. degree would be used. Also, you can go into research, sort of managing projects or that sort of thing. For PhD, our students typically go on to postdocs or faculty positions, but lots have gone on to industry or nonprofit jobs as well, or things like government or other types. Hiro?
Yeah, in our exercise physiology field, many of those M.Ed. students, they move on to a cardiac rehab program or corporate fitness program. And some of them go to strength and conditioning program, or in these days, sports performance program is very popular. For example, our most recent graduate is going to be working for a Houston Texans in the sports science department. And another student is working for a Austin FC, the Major League Soccer program, in the sports nutrition program there. So that would be the destinations. And for the MS program, most of them will move on to PhD program here or elsewhere. Even though some of students move on to work for NASA or the Army, because they do have dedicated research program. And some of them also go to like a Gatorade Sports Science Institute so that they can engage in sports science research there.
Okay, and MCRS, we're kind of similar to exercise physiology, and I would say that we have students that go into all different fields from the M.Ed. Some of them, some of them do go into the Army and into even like biomedical sales or teaching jobs. I would say that the majority of our master's students, actually I know the majority of our master's students do pursue a thesis. Some of them use a master's kind of as a stepping stone to get into physical therapy school. I always think that if you have a publication like a thesis or even We haven't talked too much today about the master's report options. So we have one that's in between. We have a M.Ed, which is no research at all, a master's thesis, which is, you're expected to publish a paper, and then the master's report, which is something smaller. It can be like a conference presentation. So we encourage our students to do research. I think it makes your resume stronger, even at the master's level, if you have some kind of research experience or publication or abstract or something on your resume, even if you decide not to pursue the PhD. But it's a little bit more work, I would say, doing a report or a thesis rather than just doing all coursework. But either way, you're going to be here for 2 years. You may as well just work hard.
Brian, did you have anything to add, or did you already go?
I already answered some of that,
Okay.
but I agree.
Previously.
One thing I do want to communicate is, if you're here at UT, you have a lot of resources at hand, and so take advantage of that. Work hard, come here, and take advantage of all the resources you possibly can at a place like this, because there's a lot of them. Anything you're interested in, you'll be able to find it both in this department and beyond the walls of this department. You have some opportunity to take electives, and so take advantage of everything that UT has to offer. There is just about anything that you'd want to know. Somebody here can probably answer that somewhere.
Are there any other questions or comments? Do the faculty have any things that we've missed, or anything that you think is important for prospective students to know?
Yeah, I think that it's important to read the publications of the faculty member that you're interested in. So I think, reading the description on the faculty page is one thing, but most, I would say all the faculty have their publications actually listed. Some of them have links to the PDF files. But I think if you're really interested in pursuing a master's thesis or a PhD, go in and read those links and read those papers, because the odds are your paper, your thesis, or your dissertation is going to end up looking a lot like some of the previous work of your advisor. And so, if you start reading their papers and you say, this is really cool, this is exactly what I want to do, then yes, that's the person you want to work with. And also, I would also say that, don't be afraid to share your own ideas, with the faculty member. And, as long as if you know their research interests and you know their expertise, for you to come up with your own ideas and to say, I'd really like to study this. Are you interested? Initiating that discussion and that conversation helps the faculty member get to know you and, advocate for you upon admission.
Well, thank you all for joining us for our prospective student session. We appreciate it. Feel free to reach out to any of us if you have any questions, or go to our website for more information. And we look forward to seeing your applications.